Since 1998, Stamps.com has been an indispensable tool for nearly 1 million businesses. Stamps.com brings the services of the U.S. Postal Service and UPS shipping right to your computer. Whether you're in an office sending invoices, a side hustle Etsy shop, or a full-blown warehouse shipping out orders, Stamps.com will make your life easier. All you need is a computer and a standard printer. No special supplies or equipment. Within minutes, you're up and running, printing official postage for any letter, any package, anywhere you want to send. And you'll get exclusive discounts on postage and shipping from USPS and UPS. Once your mail is ready, just schedule a pickup or drop it off. No traffic, no lines. Cut the confusion out of shipping. With Stamps.com new rate advisor tool, you can compare shipping rates and timelines to easily find the best option. Save time and money with Stamps.com. There's no risk, and with the promo code POD, you get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in POD. That's Stamps.com, promo code POD. Stamps.com. Never go to the post office again.
You heard the rest. Now here's the best. Stay Tuned Sports Podcast.
And hello there, all you Stay Tuners. Welcome back to another episode of Stay Tuned Sports. It's your good friend Jimbo here, back after a interesting Eagles game. Watching it this past week. Notre Dame was Notre Dame, out of the playoffs, so don't really have anything to play for. So let's start destroying teams. But hopefully everybody's weekend was as good as mine. Nothing to complain about. Got hockey coming up this weekend for me and one of my boys. I got to decide who I'm going to take there. But a little bit to talk about, mostly football this week. We're going to talk a little bit about Odell Beckham Jr. being released from the Browns and where's he go from here and what teams will pick him up, as well as our hot minute take. I'm going to kind of touch on the Philadelphia Eagles' lovely defensive coordinator, and preview this Friday's Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series race coming up, which this past Friday was actually a really good race, very competitive throughout the whole race. But before we get into it, head over to staytunedsports.net so you can follow all of our social media accounts, which is right on the right hand side there. Starting next week's episode, we're gonna start the giveaway for Thanksgiving. Was gonna start this week, but I'm gonna start next week because I still gotta think of exactly how I want to do the rules so it's fair for everyone. Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all you guys, wherever you guys, whatever social media guys account you guys follow. And also head over to our merchandise tab, which is up top there. Takes right over to our Zazzle.com store. We've got hoodies and hats and all that lovely stuff. And you can also head over to www.buymeacoffee.com/STSports if you want to show your support that way. I think that's all. Oh yeah, that's right. And we still have our STS chat line still open. 612 STS chat. Surprised no one called me or left a message about some of my picks last week, my blue picks, which I just got buried on. I think I went like 1 and 2 this week, but we'll end the show with our blue picks. So just like we do every week, talk a little bit about the NSRA Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, which the guys over there at NSRA run every Friday night, 9 p.m. on YouTube, 3White TV. You got Peter Short and Drew Eisenman up in the booth. Sometimes we get Garrett Gleason up there if Drew can't come in. obviously Drew's a lot better commentator than Garrett Gleason. Much like, they're driving. Garrett's always in the back, and once I get my iRacing rig set up and everything like that, I'm going to show him really how to drive back there. But this past Friday, they were at Talladega. Very, like I said at the top of the show, very competitive race, from top to bottom. There was all kinds of battles, whether it was for the first spot or the 15th spot. And there was only 4 cautions, which for this season they're averaging about 3.5 cautions a race, which is very good considering some of the short track races that they have. A lot of those short track races, if you watch any other leagues, average 7 to 10, sometimes even higher cautions a race. But these guys, they're only knocking out 3-4 cautions a race, so it's pretty clean racing, but still hard racing. As far as the race itself, Philip Scott led the most laps. Out of 98 laps, he led 65, and with him also pulling off the win for Talladega. Now, this upcoming week, they're at Lucas Oil Raceway, which make sure you guys head over to their Facebook and their Twitter accounts to follow them there, because this week is their rock and roll truck scheme week. So a lot of the drivers are doing different kinds of truck schemes, like Guns N' Roses, Five Finger Death Punch, a lot of different bands. And I know last season they did this. There was about 8 or 9 different trucks that actually joined in on the contest. And that's the thing, it's going to be a contest. The trucks that do a special rock and roll theme will be entered into a fan vote, I believe on Twitter, but maybe also Facebook. So definitely, like I said, watch both of those. Fans are going to vote for their favorite ones there, and I don't have the number in front of me, but I know last year they did the top 3 will be voted on during the broadcast. So you want to make sure you follow their social media accounts, as well as Stay Tuned Sports here, because I always share out the link to the race, so that way you guys click the link, come join me in the chat, vote on the trucks that you think looks the best, and one lucky winner will get a die-cast model of that car, that truck that they're driving around. But as far as the Lucas Oil race, my 3 racers this week to watch. Kicking it off, once again, I'm going with Matt Cherry. He's been fairly consistent. Has 3 top 5s so far this season out of 8 races. Gained some points on Nathan Maurer this past Friday, who is in 8th place right now, which is the first wild card spot. Just to kind of reiterate, like how they're doing the chase breakdown, the top 8 winners of the season, whoever wins the races, are locked in. Then the 9th and 10th spot will be determined by points. So right now, Matt Cherry is in 9th place. So obviously, he would want to be up in that 8th spot just in case you don't get a win. He has a little bit of cushion there to get in, not to worry about getting knocked out. Next driver, last week's winner, Philip Scott. His last 5 races, just show you how he's got the momentum going in the right direction for himself. His last 5 races, he started in the top 5, and out of those, 3 of them he finished in the top 5. So he's gained a lot of points, and with the win last week, what I believe was his first win. If he wins one more, obviously he'll move up in that top 8 spots. and might not have to worry about being knocked out, because if they get more than, I think Chris Darling was explaining it, if they get more than 8 cars or trucks that have wins, then it has to go to tiebreaker. Well, if you got 2 wins, obviously anybody that has a 1 win is below you. Excuse me. So he's definitely my second one to watch. And then my third one, Josh Sobel. He's been consistent about trading finishes. You know, he has a really good finish, then the following week he just has bad luck, and then the following week after that, good finish. I think he's going to break that trend this week. Last week he had a good finish, and I think he's going to keep that good finish going. Now, he's 125 points behind the 10th spot. There's still, I'd say about 4 or 5 more races before the chase kicks in. So I think that's enough time to make up that difference there, but just needs to be a little bit more consistent on the good finishes compared to the bad finishes. So make sure you guys tune in this Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, over on YouTube, 3Y TV, for the Stay Tuned Sports podcast truck series. This past week, Odell Beckham finally got himself out of Cleveland with a little help from his father. Obviously, since he has come to Cleveland, just never worked. You know, and when he came to Cleveland, I called it. You know, you got Jarvis Landry there. You had Jarvis Landry there. You had Odell Beckham, Baker Mayfield. Like, these are all big personalities, and we've seen time and time and time again, when you put all these personalities together, these big names together, it doesn't work out. And I'm sorry, but what has Beckham done since the one-handed catch? I mean, he's been good, but not what he was with the Giants early on in his career. So his father posted videos of showing how Baker Mayfield was not throwing it to him when he was open. Now, I seen 2 or 3 of the scenes, if you want to call it that, from the video, and I mean, okay, one was like he was wide open. There was maybe a guy 10 yards away from him. Another one, he was surrounded by 3 defenders, 5 to 7 yard difference, so it would have been a tough ball to throw to begin with. Then the third one, he threw the ball. Baker did throw the ball to him, and he dropped it. So, I mean, that really didn't help him. But in the end, Beckham and the Browns were able to come to some type of contract agreement that he basically turning his base salary into a signing bonus, so the Browns didn't get hit too hard with the cap thing. Which, obviously, when the story broke that this was going to happen, teams start to line up. You know, the Saints, Patriots, and then even the Packers. But then sources came out said that Beckham would cause issues if a team that he did not want to be on picked him up. So obviously it still shows that he's still immature, because he said that he wants to be on a contender the rest of the season, a winning environment that he feels that, you know, he'll help him be productive. So all this stuff is just showing that he's still the me guy, never grew up, never learned from his past. And so fast forwarding to this past Tuesday, he cleared waivers, so now he doesn't have to worry about any of that. And the question is now brought up because earlier today, a contract was supposedly offered to Beckham from the Green Bay Packers. If he were to sign with the Packers, that team will not make the playoffs. I am saying it right now. You already got a diva in Aaron Rodgers. You already got drama because of Aaron Rodgers over the whole COVID thing. just in this past week, Beckham showed that he wants to be the me guy. It's all about me. All about me. Well, you got Davante Adams on the team too. Davante Adams is a hell of a lot better receiver than Beckham. He's been more consistent, and he's Aaron Rodgers' guy. Let's not forget the offseason when the contract negotiations with Davante Adams started, and rumors were coming out that Adams was willing to walk away if Rodgers isn't going to be there. So obviously Rodgers is Adams' guy, and probably the same for Rodgers. So now you're going to put a me guy into the equation. So when he doesn't get the ball and they're losing, he's going to be going to kick, the field goal net or throwing Gatorade bottles. This guy should not be signed by an NFL team. Most of the teams that have losing records are young teams like the Jaguars. Hate to say it, but the Eagles. Darius Slay, I love you. I think you're a very good player for the Eagles, but no, we don't need Beckham. He would absolutely destroy that offense and that wide receiving room if we were to sign him. We obviously have the space, but I don't think we're going to sign him. And if this is the route Green Bay goes to say, oh hey, Aaron, you want a playmaker for the past few years, well, here you go. I would much rather sign Alshon Jeffrey or even John Brown, who played with the Bills last year and did good and was quiet. So I don't see why the Packers would want to sign him. Some of the other teams that were rumored to sign him, Seattle Seahawks was one, which if there was a team that may be able to keep him in check is the Seahawks. Definitely the Patriots. I mean, we've seen what Bill Belichick did with Randy Moss. And I'm not saying Beckham's anywhere close to Randy Moss. But on the flip side, it's a catch-22 with Seattle. You bring him in, and if shit goes sour, does he start butting heads with DK Metcalf? Because obviously he's the future of the wide receivers there in Seattle. If there is a team that may be able to corral him and keep him under control, it would be the Patriots. But it's hard to say because he's a me guy. Mac Jones has been playing better lately, but he's a young quarterback. I don't know if New England could play well enough to get into the playoffs. Saints was another team. Yeah, they have a good record right now, but Trevor Siemian or whatever his name is, he's not a good quarterback. But if I was any GM in the NFL right now, after seeing the comments this past week, how he's acted over the past couple weeks, I would not be touching him with a 10-foot pole. I'd rather roll the dice with Alshon Jeffrey, who's going to be a lot cheaper, or John Brown, who's going to be a lot cheaper. And John Brown, I believe, is a little bit younger than Beckham. They're the two guys I would go after to sign before I would even think about signing Odell Beckham. Up next is our Hot Minute Take, and I want to talk a little bit about our Philadelphia Eagles defensive coordinator, John Gannon. After watching this past week against the Chargers, I realized Nick Sirianni kind of has his hands tied, I feel. Offense is starting to finally click. It seems like Sirianni realized the running game is the way to go for this offense, not passing game, not making Hurts pass it 40 times a game. And we had the game in hand, only to see our defense coordinator play soft. And with that being said, I have a little something to say just for a minute, just for 1 minute about him. So all year, Jonathan Gannon has always played soft coverage, doesn't want the DBs up top there. But yet when he played the Lions, he blitzed the crap out of them and almost had a shutout. If you look at the stats, passing yards a game, they're 12th in. Yards per game giving up, they're 15th in. Rushing yards per game, they're 21st in. And they're 20th in points giving up. At what point does the Philadelphia Eagles say, enough's enough? This is not working out with him. Either we'll fire him or Sirianni fires him. And if that's the case, where Sirianni has to fire him, we're back to being Doug Peterson like I talked about a couple weeks ago. Doug didn't want to fire his coordinators, wanted to stay by them. At some point, Nick Sirianni got to say, enough's enough. This defense isn't working. You got to go. So that was our hot minute take of John Gannon of the Philadelphia Eagles defense coordinator. Just not a good defense coordinator. Just terrible. I can't believe he's lasted this long. So before we go, because we don't have a combat corner this week, going to give our blue picks.
Fourth and 5. Jones steps up, takes off, he's in, touchdown!
Third down and 3. Jackson has all day, looking deep for Hollywood Brown again. He's got it. Brown off to the races, and he stays on his feet. Touchdown!
And here is your blue picks of the week, brought to you by Skunk Duck Studios, the best ducking designs on the web. As I said at the top of the show, I definitely did take a hit with this, with last week's blue picks. Kind of recap it. For the blowout, I had Dallas over Denver, thinking Denver was tanking the season because they traded away Von Miller. Granted, they got a second and third round pick, but they obviously needed a quarterback, and that's why they're trying to get these draft picks. Well, the game got so bad that when it was something like 30 to 8 or 30 to 7 or something like that, Fox actually took off, quote, America's team, and put the Ravens game on. That's how bad the Denver Broncos were beating them. I did not see that coming. I don't know if anybody saw that coming. It was Dak Prescott's first game back from injury, so I don't know if, maybe that's had some issue with it. But definitely lost that one. My lock, again, this will probably go down as the biggest upset this season. Jaguars beat the Bills 9-6. Crazy stat. This is the first win for the Jaguars on American soil in like 400 and some days. I forget the exact number, but I know it's 400 or more days. Just have to Google it. I saw that. I'm like, that is just insane that a franchise could be that bad. But the one I did get right, and our good buddy King thought I was nuts, took the Falcons over the Saints. I said with Jameis Winston being out, that everybody's going to probably key on Kamara, which he only had 50 yards rushing, something around there. But the Falcons were able to pull off with a game-winning field goal. So I went 1-2 this past week, which brings my season record to 16-13. Now, as far as this week's picks, Starting off with the blowout pick. Blowout pick to me is any win by a team that is more than 10 points. Going Colts over the Jags. Now, granted, yes, I know the Jags had a big win against the Bills, but I think that's one and done. I think that was pure luck because the Jaguars average 16 points a game. The Colts are giving 10.5. Okay. Jaguars have no defense, and if you look at the past 5 games from the Colts, they're averaging over 30 points a game. Now, I did just see before I came on to record, Carson Wentz came out and said he will miss his child's birth if the wife goes into labor during the Jaguars game. I highly doubt that because let's all be honest, as males and fathers, we all know our wives or girlfriends would kill us. Okay, it might be his second kid, and the first time around was like, yeah, okay, but I don't foresee him missing his child's birth. So if he were to not play, this could be a different outcome. But as of right now, I'm going with the Colts over the Jags for my blowout win. For my lock, I got Tampa Bay, who's giving 9.5 to the Washington team. Washington sucks, flat out. Last 3 games, they haven't scored more than 13 points. Tampa Bay, even with Antonio Brown not playing, is a very good team. So I definitely gonna put them down as a lock. Then my upset, going with the Falcons again. Falcons are getting 9 points, taking them over Dallas. Dallas has a lot of good players that are questionable for the game now. Like Amari Cooper, a couple of defensive players. Now we've seen players be questionable and still play, but they're still hurt, so that might hamper how well they play. Dallas's last 2 of 3 games were decided by 6 points or less, and the last game was the Denver blowout. So even though they're first place of the NFC East sucks. My local high school team could beat probably these teams. I was gonna say 3 of the 4 teams, but probably all the teams they could beat. So I won't be surprised if the Falcons upset them with a game-winning field goal again, just like this past week. So to recap it, my blowout pick is Colts over the Jaguars. My lock is Tampa Bay over Washington, and my upset Falcons over the Dallas Cowboys. Short show this week. I think that's going to be it. Head over to StayTunedSports.net for all of our social media accounts, which are on the right-hand side there. Merchandise tab is up top if you want to buy a hoodie or a t-shirt or whatnot. Head over to www.buymeacoffee.com/STSports. Just another avenue for you to show your support. And if you didn't like any of my blowout picks here, my blue picks, or anything about this episode, leave a message, 612-STS-CHAT. I'll put you on the show next week. Make it famous. You never know. Till next week, it's your good friend Jimbo, signing out.